Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name's Lizzie Babatzi. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer of Budgetly. This webinar today is a panel discussion where we will cover in 30 minutes how technology can be used to make the tedious and time-consuming tasks of expense and spend management much simpler and even automated. The fact that you've all joined this webinar today most likely means that you've got some pain points with end-of-month reconciliations, credit cards being shared, and people losing receipts. On to the agenda for today. I'll cover a little bit of housekeeping to begin. Then I'll do a welcome and introduce all of our speakers for the panel. Then we'll have a quick about Budgetly, and then we'll spend 5 to 10 minutes at the end having a Q&A session. In terms of housekeeping, this session will be recorded today, and we will share a recording with all of our attendees tomorrow via email. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see two functions. One is chat and one is Q&A. The chat function you can use to make any comments throughout the session or to chat with any other attendees. And the Q&A only function is where you'll put in any of the questions you might have that you'd like the panel to answer at the end of the session. If we run out of time, all questions will be followed up after the session today. So now over to our panel. So there's me, the moderator today. We also have Matt Clements, who's the head of growth at Budgetly. We have Cara Mitchell, who's the finance officer at Crux. And Crux is one of Australia's largest NDIS and community support services companies. And we have Kirk Pearce, who is the account manager at Taree Christian College, which is a K-12 school in Taree in New South Wales. So now we'll kick off to the panel, and over to you, Matt.
Okay, Lizzie, thank you very much for the introduction. First of all, I would also like to welcome Cara and welcome Kirk to our panel discussion. Thank you so much for giving up your time today. We do talk a lot on the phone about Budgetly, but it's always nice to speak to you, especially when we've got the video on. So thank you both for joining. The conversation that we'll have today doesn't need to be anything too formal. We have a couple of questions that we're going to go through, and we'll be hearing from Cara's experience, and we'll be hearing from Kirk's experience, specifically with what life was like before Budgetly, what life is like now, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of insights that we'll all be sharing with each other. So we'll get straight into it so we don't run out of time. On to the first question now, to provide a little bit of context for everyone. Many businesses come to Budgetly all of the time, and I'll say, well, we've heard about Budgetly now. Our expense management, our spend process that we've got in our company, there's a bit of paperwork, there's a bit of admin, can you help us with that? And people often have different challenges with their expense management process. They're usually using some variation of maybe they're processing reimbursements, maybe there's a couple of credit cards floating around, maybe they're using petty cash, maybe they're using gift cards, and sometimes it's a mixture of all of the above. So Cara, I might go to you first if that's okay. Could you please help us understand, prior to using Budgetly, what were the biggest challenges for you and your business?
Dealing with banks.
Yeah.
Trying to get receipts from team members that were spending. Having cards being compromised, where the finance team was constantly on the phone to the banks, constantly filling out dispute forms, having to get cards cancelled, having to get new cards to come. And mainly our company just got too big. Yeah. And the bank would not give us any more bank accounts, would not give us any more credit cards, and we were having to use a lot of gift cards, and it just became very difficult to deal with the banks.
Yeah. Okay, Cara, thank you very much for sharing that. I mean, having, banks and financial institutions are obviously quite heavily regulated in our wonderful country, and that's designed to help make things as safe as possible in terms of anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism financing, and so on. But it sounds like your business, like you said, got a little bit too big for the services that were provided by the bank at that time. So we will come back to that in a moment, but I'd also like to extend the same question to Kirk as well. Kirk, if you could think back to before using Budgetly, what were your biggest challenges, headaches,
end of month reconciliation, as Cara said, you're tracking down receipts and documentation from different staff members. Say banks would only give you a certain number, like for the school, we'd only been able to get, say, 4 credit cards, and it's just not suitable for a school. 800 odd students and 100 staff members. So just keeping track of all your expenses, and then just as I said, the delayed responsibility of reconciliation, waiting to find out if you've got everything.
Yeah.
Or just loved us.
Yeah, it sounds like, Kirk, again, the process that you had, it just kind of got too much. It was a bit too tedious, too annoying, too much paperwork. Yeah. Yes, it definitely was. Yeah. Okay, well, going on to the next question we've got here is kind of the next obvious question we're going to ask. So, Cara, I'll start with you again, and some of the points that you were making dealing with banks and the time-consuming process. You and I have spoken a lot in the past about also like sitting on hold with the bank and the phone calls and everything taking so long, chasing receipts, and just kind of, I guess, fundamentally your business getting a bit too big for the services they were able to provide you. Think about now using Budgetly compared to in the past. How have you found the experience of Budgetly solving those problems for you?
Amazing. We've got complete control over the cards. We can get funds distributed to people because we care for vulnerable people in the community, so we can instantly get them funds now instead of saying, sure, I've made the transfer, might be there in 1 or 3 days.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. We've got complete control. We've reduced our staff because of the ease of using Budgetly, and the fact that you can set limits, whereas before you'd have a credit card, it might have a $5,000 or a $10,000 limit. You had no control over the user spending up to the limit of that card, whereas now we can limit the budgets, and the cost savings have just been incredible for the company.
Yeah, thank you, Cara. I mean, they're all pretty good points to make, right? Cost savings for the company is good for any company. Thank you for answering that question. And Kirk, will also go to your experience as well, like thinking back to what you were saying prior to using Budgetly, the end of month reconciliation being not a great experience for you, and not being able to get the right number of cards that you think a business of your size needed. So how have you found dealing with Budgetly and solving those problems?
It's been excellent, really. We can give out number, as Cara was saying, you can set limits to your different departments and different areas of the school, the maintenance and different departments. They can have a set limit per month, and real-time visibility. You can actually see all the time what's going in through the system, so you can keep track of everything. And seamless reconciliation. It's always on time. Always there, straight into the accounts. It syncs perfectly with Xero, with our accounting package. We have no problems. We find it so much more simpler. End of the month, headaches are all gone. Yeah.
That's what you want. Your end of month process, you kind of want it to be as simple and easy as possible, right?
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah, Kirk, I actually have a follow-up question in regard to what you were saying there. You mentioned something really interesting, real-time visibility. So you mentioned prior to Budgetly, you were using, a couple of credit cards, and did you have any reimbursements you were doing as well?
Well, we still do get minor reimbursements, but it's not nowhere near as much. But you just have to wait, and you go through the system.
Yeah, of course. So using the credit cards prior to Budgetly, please correct me if I'm wrong. Like, for example, I've got a credit card and I get the statement at the end of the month. When you say real-time visibility, does that mean prior to using Budgetly, you kind of had to wait until, was there a delay in seeing the transactions?
At times there was. With your credit card, you didn't get your statement till the end of the month, and you'd be able to balance it. Whereas with Budgetly, it's always online.
Yeah. Yeah, so it sounds like previously you weren't able to, see all the transactions, who's spending what, where are they spending, what are they spending in real time, right? Yeah.
In real time, yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. And you can now with Budgetly, yeah. And Cara, just a follow-up question with you there. You mentioned that sometimes you may have to get funds into the hands of staff, and prior to Budgetly, it wasn't instant, where now with Budgetly it is. So is that kind of the same for you as well? You didn't have any kind of real-time visibility on the transactions prior to Budgetly? Yeah, okay.
Correct. And, it could be weeks before we would become aware of a compromised card.
Yeah,
definitely.
And banks like to lock cards on you as well.
Yeah.
If you make certain transactions and suddenly your card's locked, and then you're on the phone for 2 hours trying to get them to unlock the card.
Yeah.
And the fact that we love mostly about Budgetly is we have hundreds of cards now, so we're able to place a card in every area of the business.
Yeah.
And keep track, as you said, from day to day, the spend.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you, Cara and Kirk, for answering that little kind of on-the-fly question I had there. We'll move on to the next question we've got on our little slideshow here. And this one's more around the journey that you've gone on implementing a spend management software. And I'll just provide a little bit of context again for all of the webinar attendees that may be watching or listening in another location. Spend management software is what Budgetly is, and what it means for a small to medium business, sometimes larger businesses as well, is, every business has costs that incur. They have to spend money. There's not a business on the planet that doesn't spend money, but no business likes overspending or spending in a way where they don't feel like they're in control, or they're wanting to spend smarter. And that's kind of what Budgetly does. And that's what we mean by spend management software. So everything is tracked, automated, it's proactive instead of reactive, et cetera, et cetera. So Kirk, we'll actually start with you this time if you don't mind, but you went from prior to using Budgetly, we've got some credit cards, a couple of reimbursements, the month-end process just isn't great, and you went on a journey of implementing Budgetly. Describe that journey to us, right? Was it easy enough? Was it hard? Was it long? Was it what you expected? How was the journey?
How would you? It's been a while now. It was easy.
Yeah.
I remember seeing an email come through about Budgetly and saying, this is what we do and how we work, and got on the website, talked to someone about it, and it was we had no problems. I think we went onto it pretty well straight away. Yeah, because we found that the onboarding of all the information, setting it up was there was no there's no hassle.
Yeah,
it was all the guys. You guys were all brilliant training, giving us the training, getting us all set up with our cards.
Yeah. Because that's important to everyone, right? Everyone's busy, and you don't want to sign up to a new software platform and you're just left on your own to go and figure it out. You do want enough help. So Kirk, thank you for answering that question. And Cara, we also might come to you as well. What about your experience with the journey of implementing this type of thing? How did that go?
Well, any business gets extremely nervous when you're going to be changing your software system or your whole finance, especially when you've got thousands of employees. Yeah. So I was very nervous about having to, because you've got to keep one running, and you've got to reconcile that and start closing that down while you're having another finance platform starting up, and you've got to keep that running. And so I was generally surprised with the amount of support that the Budgetly team offered to us. It was the smoothest transaction I've ever in my whole finance business career gone through. Having been provided with training videos was amazing, because we literally have thousands of staff members that we had to retrain on card procedures. So to just have that given, but most of all, when I ring Budgetly or I email Budgetly, I get immediate assistance.
Yeah.
which is in today's world is quite rare.
Yeah. You do. I mean, because every software platform will tell you, right? Like, yeah, you'll get help and you can call us and whatever. But sometimes, yeah, it's a bit of a different story if they actually do it or not. So, Cara, thank you for telling us about your experience. We do take the customer service and support and the onboarding, like Kirk said, we do take it really seriously. And we understand it can be daunting getting started with this type of stuff. Cara, I've just also got another little funny story. You might remember, and it was a long time ago that we were calling you and you joined Budgetly. And I remember talking to you on the phone and you asked, you like, okay, if I call and I need help, if I call, will someone answer the phone? And me and my colleague, Matthew, were like, yeah, of course you will. No worries. And you're like, no, really listen to the question. Okay, I don't call often, but if I call, are you going to answer the phone? And I remember having that conversation with him. He said, you know what? We're going to give you the Rolls-Royce treatment. I've got a mobile phone in an ankle holster, so you can I can never not feel it vibrate. You'll always get your calls answered. And we joke about that Rolls-Royce treatment, but I remember having that conversation with you.
Absolutely. I think it was my first question.
Yeah.
Was if I call you, are you going to answer? Because we tried so many different other finance platforms to try and get more cards and more accounts. And the service just wasn't there. And as I explained to you, I will rarely call you, but when I do call you, it's an emergency and I need help now.
Yeah,
and
true.
You've stood by that. It's been absolutely wonderful, the nearly 3 years that we've been with you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for answering that question, Cara. I like that story. I like to think back on that Rolls-Royce that we were joking about. Well, so we don't run out of time, though, we will move on to the next question we've got here. And this one's around what advice you would give to maybe another business or a similar business to yours that is considering making the switch to a platform like Budgetly. And, I mean, if you have had any real-life conversations about this to other businesses, feel free to include it in your answer. But, Cara, we may start with you this time. What advice would you give to a business that's considering making the switch to something like Budgetly?
It may be daunting to begin with,
mm-hmm.
but the long-term benefits are huge for your business. The cost savings are tremendous in the whole scheme of things.
Yeah.
And it prevents overspending, unapproved spending, and mainly importantly to me is I can instantly help someone. I'll have someone on the phone who's quite distressed, mm-hmm. and I can instantly help them, which is amazing. But do it. Don't hesitate.
Yeah.
Go across.
Yeah. Just do it, because that's kind of the mission that we're on, right? To eliminate overspending for businesses in Australia. Because I mean, no business wants wastage in their spending. You want to get the most bang for your buck. So, yeah, Cara, it's just interesting you use that word, because that's kind of what we're trying to do. Eliminate the overspending. Cara, thank you for answering that question. Kirk, if you don't mind, I'll also ask you the same type of thing. If you were speaking to a business similar to yours, what advice would you give about making the switch?
Go for it.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it, yeah. Benefits, as Cara said, the benefits way out, just so beneficial in any way. And it's easy to control your budgets. And I mean, so if you get one of the teachers or department heads say, I need extra, it's easy to adjust your account for that small period of time.
Yeah.
I mean, say my business manager that was here before went to Trinity College in Canberra.
Yep.
And I think they've gone across to Budgetly.
They have, yes. I was actually helping them during their onboarding process. So
yes.
I was heavily involved in that one. Because we've just been that flat out lately, and we've got a whole team of people that do that. But I had to chip in and help out because everyone was so busy.
Yeah, well, that would have been Andrew, and I got him. And I said, look, you got to go for it.
Yep. Yeah. So they're enjoying Budgetly, and their setup was quite easy as well. So Kirk, thank you for answering that question as best you can as well. It's good that your answer didn't just include the advice that you give, but you're also like, I've already recommended someone to Budgetly. Okay, very good. We'll move on to the next one that we've got here, and Cara and Kirk, I realise we've actually probably already kind of covered some answers to this question already. But if you can think of maybe a specific example, like what's probably the number one thing that springs to mind? I had this issue before Budgetly. Now I use Budgetly. I don't have that issue. Cara, what would you say is the number one thing that springs to mind?
Cards being compromised.
Yeah.
And having to fill out dispute forms and waiting 6 weeks for the money to be retrieved, if it's ever retrieved. But not only that, the time that it takes to retrieve that money. And in the meantime, you've got a cancelled card.
Yep.
And you have to get another card. And Budgetly, the list is endless, really, with the issues that Budgetly has solved.
Yeah.
And we're very happy with it.
Yeah, sorry, Cara, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but it sounds like the entire process with that, like, for example, the card's compromised and it's cancelled and we need to get a new card because they need to spend funds. It sounds like, that, like the whole process just took too long beforehand.
Oh, absolutely. You had to have a whole staff member just to deal with those issues.
Yeah. Right, a full-time staff. And Cara, thank you for helping answer that question as well. And Kirk, again, respectfully, I know we've shared a lot of examples, but what's the number one thing that springs to mind for you? I had an issue before, now I don't have it with Budgetly.
Well, the reconciliation at the end of the month, it's a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Everything's online. You do it automatically straight away. You can check, make sure they've applied to the right account area.
Yeah.
It's so easy. You make sure your documentation is all there. GST is accounted for. Replacement cards or even new cards are real quick.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, I've got to order another one.
Well, Kirk, it's just, 3 buttons you got to click and you've got it.
That's right. I do. I know.
I like, Kirk, I like that quote that you said, that phrase. It's so easy. Might put that on the website somewhere. Okay, we'll try and I know we're getting close to the end of the period, and I want to make sure we do have some Q&A. So I'll just ask one more question. I'm not sure if this is the last one or not, and then we'll probably move on from there. But Cara, again, I'll start with you. But having an automated spend management platform like Budgetly, and you were kind of talking about this earlier, I was going to ask you, how has it impacted your company's bottom line? And you just gave a really good example. You said we previously had someone employed just to handle all of the admin that was involved in issuing cards or cancelling cards or a compromised card and so on. So It sounds like the bottom line's been impacted quite significantly in the fact that multiple full-time salaries have probably been saved. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And since we've been with Budgetly nearly 3 years now, and we haven't had to, the company has probably pretty much more than doubled in size.
Yeah.
And because we went Australia-wide, not just Queensland.
Yeah.
And we have not had to employ another person.
Yeah.
It's still been the one person that's started with Budgetly, and everything's doubled. Our transactions have doubled, our cards have doubled, and we haven't had to put any more staff on to cover that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the power of using automation in your software, right? You can, and going towards the kind of long-term strategy that's on the screen here, your company can grow and can scale almost indefinitely because, you don't need to throw an extra set of hands at the admin that goes along with expense management because Budgetly's already got rid of that admin. Yes. Yeah. Cool. And Kirk, if you don't mind, I'd just like to ask you as well, having an automated spend management platform, how's that impacted the bottom line or the strategy of where you're at?
I suppose for a school, it doesn't really, dollar-wise, it doesn't really. Time-wise, there's a lot of time involved in regard. So I suppose it frees up my time doing a lot of other different areas in finance.
Yeah.
And but for a school, it just makes it so much simpler, and it's also easier for when it comes to audit time because we have to get audited every year because being a private school. Government funding.
Yep.
The auditors like using it as well, they can get into the system and as well for auditing purposes. It just makes it so much simpler.
Yeah, we do hear that for auditing purposes quite a lot, where you literally type it in the search bar and the receipts will come up for the time period that you're looking at. Yeah. So, Kirk, just on that topic as well, being a school, with the teachers and the educators, if they're able to save a bit of their own time, not having to, do these reimbursement claims or not having to worry about the admin that goes on with expense management, it's probably fair to say that they can, spend more of their time doing what they do best in educating our kids.
Well, that's correct. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
They do like having their own, being able to spend their own money.
Yeah.
The ease of spending. But we do have the controls. You do have your limits and you can control it, but they don't have to, as you say, they don't have to track down reimbursements or anything like that. It's all on their system.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
get their own app.
Yep.
On their phone.
So thank you, Kirk and Cara, for answering those questions. We're almost out of time, so there's just a couple more bits and pieces that we'll cover. We'll just give a quick little explanation about Budgetly, again, for those that are joining and might not know everything or too much about our company. And then we've just got a Q&A at the end. We had some questions sent ahead of time by some people who were unable to make the webinar. So we'll make sure that we try and get the questions answered. And if we're unable to get through all of the questions, we'll make sure that we contact the people who have asked them and left their details. And we'll give you a phone call. We'll make sure we get them answered over the phone for you. But I just want to expand on what Cara and Kirk was saying today. Budgetly being a spend management software solution, and we are on a mission to eliminate overspending in small to medium and larger businesses within Australia. But all of the things that we spoke about today are solved with Budgetly. Cara was mentioning the business getting to a point where it's outgrown the current system that you've got with the banks, not able to get more of the things that you need. And Budgetly grows with your business. Chasing receipts that we mentioned earlier, it's all automated within Budgetly. We have, when people go from not using Budgetly to using Budgetly, we see an on average 94% receipt compliance once they're using Budgetly. And we'd love that to be 100%, but we're getting close, and it's a lot better than usually what it was prior. So being able to issue cards, cancel cards, you click a button, you're in control of everything. You don't need to do reimbursements anymore because Budgetly automates all of that for you. It completely eliminates the reimbursement. You click a few buttons, issue a card to whoever needs it in the organization, click a few buttons to set the spending rules. They can only spend what you want them to spend when you want them to spend it. Tap my card, buy a barbecue chook down at Woolies. My phone's going to buzz and tell me to take a photo of the receipt. Take a photo of the receipt. That's it. My job's done. And like Kirk was saying, the month end's so much easier because you've got all the real-time visibility and you click a button to boom, send it into Xero. Or if you're using another accounting software, you're just exporting and importing the file that we prepared for you. So it's a little bit more about Budgetly. I will just say one more thing. You're also able to pay invoices, bills, suppliers, and everything through Budgetly. So it's not just the card transactions, it's complete spend management. So that's a little bit about Budgetly, the company, for those that didn't know. Now, for those that are viewing this in other locations, you can scan the QR code that you see here, and it's going to take you through to a page on our website where you're actually going to be able to watch a pre-recorded 10-minute pre-recording of a demo of the software, if that interests you. If you would like to talk to a professional, such as myself or one of our team members, we'd be happy to run a one-to-one demo where we'll ask a few more questions about how things currently work in your business and see where we can help with expense management and spend management, and of course, eliminating overspending. Lizzie, I know we've got a couple of questions.
Cutting you off.
Yeah.
We need some questions.
So
What about one or two questions we'll quickly run through? The first one is, how are the budget limits applied? Is it just an amount per department or card, or is it more in relation to where the credit cards are getting used or what items are getting purchased?
Okay, cool. So the budgets in Budgetly, that's where the name comes from, but it's where a lot of the flexibility comes from. The answer to your question is you can do either or. You can do what's best for your business. You can create a budget per individual. Bob's got $50 a day. Bill's got $100 a month. You can create budgets for departments. So, for example, what's really popular in schools and education institutions like Kirk's involved in, you might have a budget for the geography department and the history department and the finance or administration office as well. So you can set up budgets with spending rules to do almost whatever you want. Kirk, just on that topic, I think you mentioned something earlier about that as well. You have budgets for departments. Is that how you work it?
Yes, we do, but I don't have it set up as departments. Yeah. I have it with the heads of departments, kind of.
Yeah, right.
But the same thing is you just put in how much you want them to have per month or whatever.
Yeah.
You set up per month or a total for the year or whatever. So
yeah. And the point of the budgets is it eliminates overspending. They can only spend what you want them to spend when you want them to spend it. And if they attempt to spend more money that the budget allows, the card won't work.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Lizzie, I hope that's answered the question.
Yes, thank you. Next one. Can I pay my office rent and other expenses through Budgetly?
Yeah, this is a really interesting question because the answer is yes, you can. A lot of our customers are using the new bill payments functionality that we have to not just pay bills that they're receiving from suppliers, but things like your office rent or rent that needs to be paid for other residential or commercial assets that you have or are using. You just load the supplier in, the BSB, the account number. We'll run the fraud prevention and duplicate detection that's involved in our software for you, and then you click a button to pay the rent at the end of the month. You can even schedule it. You click a button to schedule it and you don't have to worry about it. Your rent's automatically paid. So you can use Budgetly to pay for all of your spend and costs.
Great. And one last question, if you can answer it very quickly because we're over time, is does Budgetly have any AI capabilities?
Yes, of course. A lot of what we're doing is specifically built around AI. So you've got the new Buddy AI help assistant, so you can email receipts through, email bills through. It's going to automatically create your bills, automatically create your receipts. We have you can ask it a question. How much money has my team spent on KFC in the last 36 days? Because I know I do that all the time. There is so much AI capability already within Budgetly, and a lot more is coming soon. I don't have much time to answer that question, so please contact us and we'll show you on a one-to-one demo and we'll take you through it.
All right, thank you. We're over time. So thank you, everyone, for joining today, and thank you to our panelists and to Matt.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, thank you.